Hi, my name's Mike Faber. I'm the host of the Earth Station 1 podcast, and we were here at DragonCon talking to John Wesley Shipp.
The Flash.
The Flash.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to DragonCon.
Thanks.
Is this your first DragonCon?
No, I did one not long after the DVDs of the original show came out in 2006.
Okay.
But it's been several years,
Okay.
5, 6, I don't remember how long it's
So
been.
it's grown hugely since last time you were here.
Yeah, it was big then. I mean, it's been, as we know, an institution here
Right.
for forever. I heard about it before I ever appeared here, because my family ended up living in Atlanta, in Decatur and Duluth.
Right.
So they would talk about it.
That's awesome. It's great to have you here.
Thanks.
It's interesting because now that you're on the new show
Mhm.
and being Barry's dad, did they ever approach you about being the Golden Age Flash by chance?
No, they didn't. And I'm kind of glad. I mean, I understand why people would want me to do that, but it makes me feel more like I'm coming in and playing a standalone character, to have it be not quite as on the nose.
Right.
And I love I love what Jeff Johns did, how he blew up the Allen family. I love the conflicted story. When I heard that that's what had happened, that I thought, if they wanted me to be a part of the show, which they could have, or they might not have, but if they did, that's the role I would want to play. I said, wait a minute, he's in jail, wrongfully convicted of killing Nora in front of a 10-year-old Barry. I said, if they come to me, that's the role I want.
Right.
And that's the role they offered, so,
That is awesome.
yeah.
And everything. And the chemistry between the two of you and Grant, is awesome.
Yeah, I think there's I've thought about that too. And he's a genuinely good guy. People say, what's it like to work with him? I say, what you see is not that he's playing himself, he's playing a character, but he certainly brings all of himself to the service of that character.
Sure.
So that you really get to see he's a genuinely good person. I'll repeat myself here. Not long, well, my first day on the set, Jesse came on the set and introduced himself, and he and I were talking about this new venture and whether it would be successful. He said, if it goes, he said, it'll be because of one thing, because that young man's head and his heart are in the right place, and they're in alignment, and it couldn't be said any better than that.
That is awesome.
Yeah. It also helps, I think, that I played that character.
Sure, of course.
He knows I played that character. I know what he's going through. So there's a built-in simpatico relationship, and by virtue of the fact that I'm 25 years, he was born the year I was doing The Flash.
Really?
So it naturally lends itself. We're very much colleague to colleague. I'm not implying anything other. It's a lateral colleague to colleague relationship. But the fact, given the age difference and given the fact that I played the character 25 years ago, it serves the Barry-Henry relationship in a very special way. I think that might not be served had I not played the character. A lot of our homework is already done for us.
Sure. Well, one of the things we've always noticed is that Flash is the character from DC Comics and such is all about legacy and such, and it feels like it, especially with you on the show. and such.
Yeah, well, not just me. I mean, Andrew Kreisberg was an assistant on the back lot at Warner Brothers when I was doing The Flash, and when I met him for the first time on set in Vancouver with the new Flash, he said, actually, we've already met. I said, oh, we have? He said, yeah. He said, I totally invaded your space and fanboyed out on you when you were doing The Flash on the back lot at Warner Brothers. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
Oh, fantastic. So that's what you see. I think people talk about the spirit of this show that sets it apart. And I think it comes down from the very top that these are four guys who love this character. When I worked with Greg Berlanti on Dawson's Creek, I didn't know his favorite character was the Flash, but it is. And they know all the iterations, all the universe, they know the entire journey of the character, and they're weaving it all in. Just like at the end of the season 1 finale, they were tossing everything in, weren't they? You see Barry in jail, you see the helmet come flying in, and they are loving it as much or more than we are. And I think that kind of energy is infectious.
In the evolution of your character, do you expect to see yourself outside of Iron Heights, maybe helping the Star Lab team?
Do I see myself? I would like to know more about Henry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I personally, I would like for him to have more dimension. I've loved the father-son. I've loved being the place that Barry comes when he needs to fall apart.
Right.
I think we've gotten to see a color in Barry we otherwise would not have been able to see if it were not for his relationship with his dad.
Yeah.
Now that we have explored that, and that's so solid, I would like to know more about Henry. And one way to do that is to see him in another environment. How and when that will happen, or might happen, or even if it will, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, doesn't Henry die in jail in the comic book?
I'm not sure.
So, you know, I mean, you know, it's evolving as it happens, and I'm just thrilled to be along for the ride. But yeah, I have some questions about Henry that I'd like to see answered. Like, why did he dismiss the man in the yellow suit so quickly?
Right.
As soon as Barry told him? And why is it he could go back to save my mom? No.
Does he know more than we know?
Does he know more than we know that he knows at this
Yeah.
point? I hope so. And I'm freestyling here because, you know, I've had these conversations with Andrew, but I've not gotten any indication that that's what's coming. But if you ask me what I'd like to see, it's always an actor will say dimension and layers. And I just want to know a little bit more about what Henry Allen, what Dr. Allen is about.
Exactly. The cameo with Mark Hamill, the whole episode of The Trickster, was a huge hit. And Andrew Kreisberg has said that Mirror Master may be a villain this season.
Yeah.
Possibly a David Cassidy episode.
Wouldn't that be incredible?
It would be, and maybe cross over Laurel Lance.
How about that? No,
That would be
I've seen a
something.
lot of buzz about that on Twitter.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of tweets and Facebook stuff. You know, and that's what's great about having bosses who are huge fans of the medium and of the character
It adds to it.
built around, you know, that the show's built around, because you know that they're having explosion. You can see it when you talk to them. Little protons and neurons and electrons are exploding in their brains, and they're just constantly jamming about what would be fun and how we could throw more stuff in, you know,
Yeah.
while keeping it consistent and palatable for a larger audience. So
And Tony Todd is Zoom. Have you worked with him yet? I know he's just been casted, but I don't know.
no, I haven't.
What are your thoughts on the big bad villain for this season?
Well, they certainly set it up
Yeah.
in season 1, didn't they?
They did.
It certainly is the motivating force behind everything that happens in Barry's world, how it is built up, and then it comes crashing down. Possibility of, could it be built up again?
Yeah.
What would have to be changed? You know, I mean, it's endless. The possibilities are endless.
Do you have a favorite villain that you've seen after you've watched the episodes, just kind of as a fan? Do you have a favorite villain?
Now, you know I have to say the Trickster.
Yeah, there you go. You gotta say it. Yeah, he was a good one. I'm excited to see how they do Zoom. I've heard that this next season is going to be a darker, more somber start.
There will be, well, of course, you have to go, once you establish the palette, then the only place you can go is, down and in.
Yeah.
Side the characters and the personalities. We're going to find out, okay, what effect does this have beyond the, yippee, look what I can do,
Yeah.
and struggling with coming to terms with controlling his new power. Okay, now the character and the personality are going to catch up. What effect is this going to have on this young man?
Yeah.
You know, so in that sense, you might say that there will be darker elements. I believe, and the comic book lends itself to this, is that we will always be the hopeful show.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite review of The Flash was, how wonderful to have a superhero, one of whose powers is hope. So I don't think we'll ever lose that. But certainly, I call it, rather than darker, I call it dimension.
Okay.
There'll be more dimension.
Well, it's nice to see a superhero that's not brooding all the time,
Yeah.
and that's the neat thing with between Arrow and Flash, because it always feels like it's nighttime on Arrow, and Flash is daytime.
And we
so-
love that. I mean, the darker shows came in the 90s. You know, our Flash was even, the template at the beginning was
Sure.
darker. Oh, if you take, the two Trickster episodes were its own
Right.
thing. But other than that, the show, but I think comic books had to go there because they had come out of a very light, I as a young boy was a fan of the original Batman series, and that was very light. It was very Krapow, you know, all the things, very comic booky. They had to go dark and gritty in order to ground it for an adult audience and to bring about this new wave of how we're taking these characters seriously.
Sure.
And we are honoring this pop cultural art form that has all these followers. One thing I enjoy about doing conventions is I meet people who know more about The Flash than I do. And the exchange can be illuminating.
It seemed a lot like your Flash series was very much based off the Tim Burton Batman type. It had the same kind of feel.
Well, I'll tell you, it was the dawning, 1989, was the dawning of the new sensibility around how these stories are told for an adult audience as well as kids' audience. So a lot of these projects were in development. The Flash was in development. Batman was in development. They were all in development right around the same time.
Sure.
Now, the runaway success of Tim Burton's Batman certainly helped The Flash get greenlit.
Sure.
But I think more than us copying Tim Burton's Batman, I do think it was an evolving sensibility around a more modern way to tell these stories and present these characters. And it started really in 1990, and we're seeing the flowering of that process now with all these superhero shows and different templates and crossovers and DC versus Marvel, and it's quite an exciting time to be a comic book fan, isn't it?
Do you agree with that they've casted a separate cast of people for the movie than the TV show?
I'm not going to second guess my bosses. I've worked for Warner Brothers for a long time. I was even Professor Zoom for Warner Brothers in Batman the Brave and the Bold, as you know, with Dietrich Bader.
True.
But I don't know. I wonder if that's not reflective of a sensibility that's no longer operative. And by that I mean, at one time, you had to keep all the areas of the business separate. You had to keep daytime TV separate from, well, there is no more daytime TV, hardly, but daytime TV separate from prime time. Never could there be a cross between prime time and film. And the universes, Marvel was kind of ahead of the game, weren't they, in having these universes overlap. Yeah. And DC has caught up in a most wonderful way on television with Arrow. Yeah. Well, Marvel is combining, haven't they started combining their film and their television?
Yes.
So they
Shield has crossed over with
and Daredevil
so
on
maybe,
Netflix is the same way.
Might it be that they're one step ahead again? Maybe DC will catch up. I don't know. Yeah.
Hope so.
Yeah, because I mean, come on, people are watching these shows on their phones and their iPads and their computers, and I mean, the platforms and delivery systems are not what they once were. It's not like you had your console TV in your living room or a big screen in a movie theater. So it seems like moving back and forth is the way of the future.
It's only natural, it almost seems like.
Yeah. Are you excited about a potential crossover with Supergirl?
I don't know how that would happen with CBS, but I think she's wonderful.
Yeah.
Both in person and on screen. She's lovely. And I just saw a photo session she did with a bunch of young girls, where they're all like being Supergirl, and then she's just laughing with them. And to see these young women being empowered with this strong female superhero character, that's really the wave of the present. It is. So I'm very, and Callista Flockhart, she is turning it out. Yeah. She's just fantastic in that part. So it's very enjoyable to watch. What a fun thing.
I think it's making TV fun. Definitely the crossover episodes between Arrow and Flash is so much fun. And we're a local CW affiliate up in Charlotte, and we have viewing parties for the finale and the premiere. And watching it in a group setting, people cheered when Jay Garrick's helmet came out.
Totally.
It was so much fun to watch.
Totally.
In shooting, so how far along are you ahead now? What episode are you guys working on now?
I think they've just started episode 6.
Okay.
I go back later this month to shoot an episode, and then again back in October. But I think they've just started episode 6.
What other projects are you working on right now?
I have a pet project. It's called Powder Burns. It's a radio western.
Oh, cool.
And it's available streaming on iTunes or at the website powderburnswestern.com, or you can references on my Twitter page or my Facebook page. And David Gregory, who played one of my 3 sons, on One Life to Live in 2010 and again in 2012, has written and directed and is acting in this terrific atmospheric radio Western drama. And that is a trip. Robert Vaughn, Man from U.N.C.L.E., came in and did an episode. That
That's
just
awesome.
went up August 19th. We've done 4 episodes and we'll be doing more. But I always want to give that a plug because it's great fun. I have to remind myself that it doesn't matter what I'm doing with my hands and my arms, and I may have the best expressions in the world. Ain't none of it gonna matter. It's all gonna come through your voice, and that's what was great about watching Robert Vaughn, because he just came in and he sat down and did the whole thing seated, and nothing really much was happening. But boy, when you listen to it on the radio, it really was a master class working with him in
That's
that
awesome.
medium.
We have time for one more question.
Go ahead.
Oh, I always am curious what you're watching. What are actors watching that are also in shows?
What am I watching?
If you have the time.
I'm so uncool. No, I was cool in that I liked Penny Dreadful a lot. I watched that a lot. I think she's really special. You agree? And I like Last Tango in Halifax. Have you guys seen this show?
Yes, it's
It's
awesome.
a British, just phenomenal.
I didn't
know.
expect it to be as good as it was.
I didn't either, and I first saw it when I was waiting to shoot, sitting in the hotel room at the Sutton Place Hotel in Vancouver.
Mhm.
And I went back and I bought all the seasons, and I've caught up. I also am enjoying Poldark on Masterpiece.
Okay.
Gunman!